Women's rights in Afghanistan seems to be trending at the moment, with news outlets, celebrities and even politicians weighing in on their concerns for the welfare of Afghanistan's women following the withdrawal of the United States military.
Brilliant women are right now absolutely petrified.
And look, don't get me wrong, I'm deeply concerned for the well-being of my sisters in Afghanistan, and my thoughts are definitely with them. But seriously, since when did the boisterous voices we're hearing today ever care about the women of Afghanistan? I mean, did the US military really care about the women of Afghanistan when it was sending down carpet bombs indiscriminately killing them? How many of the 4 US presidents who also often repeated the claim they're not responsible for nation building actually took responsibility for the nation they were destroying?
Our mission in Afghanistan was never supposed to have been nation building.
The immense amount of bombs dropped, the 70,000 plus civilian deaths, and the millions more displaced from a failed 20-year war. And now we want to talk about the welfare of women? I'm very sorry, but most of the people talking today who were silent for the past 20 years while Afghan women were brutalized really have no moral ground to be speaking today. And while I can understand some remain critical of the Taliban given their past, despite the proposals they have made to upkeep the rights of women and uphold their education, there is still a clear and blatant distinction to be made when we are looking at the violence inflicted upon the women of Afghanistan by their occupying forces for the past 20 years. With over $2.2 trillion spent on a failed war, perhaps the US should have spent some of that money on actually cleaning up the trail of destruction they've left behind. The 20-year war has exacerbated the effects of poverty, malnutrition, poor sanitation, and lack of access to health care, and has severely degraded the health of the Afghan population. All this while mainstream media fixates on the looming dress code of Afghan women.
There has been a consistent narrative from the West, particularly these United States since 9/11, to suggest that the reason we're invading countries, the reason we're plundering, the reason we're bombing, the reason we're exploiting is to save the women. Look at what they have to wear on their heads. They have no agency. They have no freedom.
I mean, how dare male authorities dictate to women what they must wear, how they should dress to work, and what dress code allows girls to get a basic education? Sounds a bit misogynistic, right? Well, maybe we should have a look at France. Women's rights and child welfare has always been utilised as propaganda to encourage pro-female bombings and invasions, so suburban Western mums would feel like philanthropists as they send their husbands to war. So what was America's legacy in Afghanistan? Building hospitals, schools, female empowerment and security? Reports give a bleak picture otherwise of the reality on the ground. But America didn't leave Afghanistan empty-handed. They left the country with hundreds and thousands of casualties, an opioid crisis, and a send-off gift with sanctions to cripple the poor. Was the world concerned about Afghan women when the US occupation contributed to an increase in poppy production, the plant from which heroin is made? Authentic data disclose a tragic high level of opium in Afghan babies, creating a cycle of drug addiction. Was the world really concerned about Afghan women when their occupation inflicted invisible wounds like PTSD? According to the Afghan Ministry of Public Health, 2/3 of Afghans suffer from mental health problems. Was the world concerned about Afghan women when the occupation routinely bombed innocent civilians in weddings, graduations, and hospitals? Was the world concerned about Afghan women when the occupation disabled thousands of their children with landmines and cluster bombs, leaving villages destroyed and families in abject poverty? The answer is no. We are not here to romanticize the Taliban. However, we refuse to buy the narrative that the West had benevolent intentions to the Afghans. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings ease and stability to the people of Afghanistan.